Thank you for coming today. Today I made lots of notes on my tablet that I want to review with everyone because I've been here for the week for the conference, did the smart sessions and then the talks for the last 3 days. And there have already been some really good talks on the subject of email marketing, but there's been even better discussions that I've had in the hallway. As I bring up the topic of email marketing, I hear lots of horror stories from everyone on every platform. So not simply because they're using Odoo. When you start doing complex email campaigns, you just run into problems because the complexity level increases drastically. So I think we'll start today by talking about a user story that I heard. And this one, I actually heard it yesterday, but it wasn't the first time that I've heard it. Probably heard it about 4 times. And maybe some of you have encountered the same problem as well. So you, how many are partners here, implementation partners? And then the rest of everyone's end users? Okay, great. So I've kind of modified the content a little bit to fit the audience segment that's here today. Originally, I wasn't going to talk much about how implementation partners are involved in this. It was more geared towards end users. So this end user story then is very applicable. So they did their Odoo implementation perfectly, and let's say they used G Suite, Google Apps for Business, as the outbound mail server for the client, and they left the implementation project. The customer was sending invoices to their clients, getting paid, everything's working terrifically, and then all of a sudden the client calls the implementation partner and says, hey, look, there's something going on. Invoices are not going out to the customers. We have a major cash flow problem. We're just not getting paid. So the implementation partner looks into it, makes sure invoices are being triggered properly, that emails are being sent to the customer, and that's when they realize that the, I guess before I go on, how many people have marketing in their title in this room? Okay. I'll be a little more careful then. So there was a mass emailing that went out. And coincidentally, it happened about 2 weeks ago, and now they have a 2-week cash flow crisis because evidently their customers stopped receiving their invoices, and that's why they were not getting paid. So why do you think this happened? Do you think the marketing team sent out an email saying, you know, dear loyal customer, Fabian can now afford a new boiler, and his wife just installed it, so all the apps are now free. You don't have to pay your invoices. No. There was probably a technical issue, and now accounting is very upset with that CMO because their emails are not going out for invoices, they're transactional emails, and now they have major problems. So there was a really good presentation in here yesterday by Jean Adam, called Organizing Your, How to Handle Your Email Environment with Odoo. Was anyone able to see that presentation? Good. It was a very good presentation. You should definitely go back and check the YouTube recording of it. It handles setting up your outbound and to some extent your inbound mail servers on Odoo perfectly for your transactional emails. So sending any email from the system except for your email campaigns. So in this presentation, we're going to talk about how to push the limits and actually send proper email marketing campaigns through Odoo and give you the chance of actually having those email campaigns set up technically as best as they can to have the best shot at making it into the inbox. So I think I can speak to this subject competently because I've sent out maybe about 10 million emails in the last 5 years over Odoo platforms, and some of them were for our clients who are running Odoo. So yes, there are actually mid-market companies in the US between $10, $20 million a year in sales running their website on Odoo that use 100% only Odoo for their email marketing communications. And that's been going on we've been doing this for a few years, even without like the huge improvements that were introduced last year in version 12. And of course on version 13 this year, it's a no-brainer for anyone to be using Odoo as their email marketing platform. But this one in particular, I've made every single mistake possible on this website with the email marketing campaign, so I've learned a lot from it, and there's a good opportunity for you to learn from it too, because if you go to this site, lab.equipment, in the news section on the top right, there's a news category on the blog called promotions, and under each promotion I've actually put the email marketing campaign that we did to advertise that promotion at the bottom of it. So you can see the HTML of the email that we sent out through Odoo for I think 5 or 6 of the campaigns that are on there. So if you have any customers that push back saying, you know, marketing people are very finicky, right, and very design oriented, and when they look at the Odoo interface, they might not think it's a sophisticated tool compared to their MailChimp Pro or whatever it is that they're used to using to send out their campaigns. And here now you can show them, no, look at this site that was built and the emails that were created using the Odoo tools. And just on that note, because that's a pushback I hear a lot from our clients, and I explained to them that, you know, Odoo has 36 apps that this user interface has to work across. And so if you look at MailChimp or you know, Pardot or Marketo, if they're moving from a different marketing automation platform, they have a very sole focus and purpose with their user interface, whereas Odoo is just much more simple to look at, but much more powerful once you start filling out fields and getting into it. So that's where you can see some templates. And if you want to actually be part of a really good email marketing campaign for B2B, you could go to our app website. So I'm John Buie. You can find information on this presentation at johnbuie.com, but I do own other companies who build apps and things for clients' websites. But this is our Odoo app. It's a on-site search functionality, but if you go to that site and complete any of the forms, download any of the content, you will then be in a B2B drip sequence campaign coming from Odoo, and then you can kind of see how it could function firsthand. And we've also done tons of Odoo projects in the last 12 months. But before, and then just one note, because I got that question a lot this week from partners, is that they just can't sell the clients on using Odoo. So I'm really happy that I put together some content on that website. You looked at johnbuie.com, and I'm here to speak, not sell. So I'm not pointing you towards like any of our corporate websites. On that site, there's a 12,000-word manifesto that I wrote and published this week, and it's all about why you need, as a B2B company in 2020, to be sending all of your emails from your ERP system, period. So you can use that and that's freely available. You don't have to opt in to download it. But if you want to go in one of my drip sequences on email campaigns, definitely opt in to download it. But you can point your customers towards that so that it helps you sell it to them, because it is such a wonderful tool. So to answer the question of the first user's user story. So why that email went to spam when the marketing manager did not work with the implementation partner and sent out the email campaign. In version 12 and later, there is an option under your settings, not even under developer mode, just under the normal configuration settings, to assign a specific outbound mail server to your marketing messages. And before, this was not part of the core code. You had to use a third-party extension to do it, but all of our clients and many other people have been doing this since version 8 or 9. But now in the default interface, you can select your outbound server, and then you have one specifically for your email marketing messages. So there's quite a few that you can choose from. These are 4 of the popular ones. Personally, we use SendGrid. This is also, and not just SendGrid, but all of them are actually another recurring revenue opportunity for you as a partner, because you can set these up and manage an infrastructure and then assign the dedicated IPs to each of your customers and manage that for them in one centralized account with sub-accounts where they can still log in and have access to it. So lots of the talks on the partner Odoo implementation methodology focused on building recurring revenue. This is a great way of doing it, and especially selling the concept of using Odoo as a marketing tool to your clients. Now you have more retainer hours that you can be billing them for on a monthly basis, because there's a lot that goes into it. So the first thing you want to do is choose one of these four. Maybe there's 6 or 8 on the market that are good candidates. The pricing varies greatly, mostly because of this point here. You have to make sure that you get a package that has a dedicated IP. So this is a huge contention point, because your IP, that number, is your reputation online, period. So that's why that customer's email marketing campaign was blocked after they sent it out using their normal outbound mail server. So the difference in cost, with SendGrid, you might be looking at like a $25 a month package, their starter package, but then you go to a dedicated IP and it's around $80 US a month. But it's definitely worth it. And when you're speaking to your customers, for the implementation partners in the room, now that you are talking to them about a profit center of their business, you're going to find approvals for things like this get done much more quickly than your typical conversations with them, where you might be seen as a cost center to their business managing. Even though we all know we don't sell software or IT, right? We sell change management within companies, and we know that change management has a really positive impact on their productivity and increases their profits. They don't see us that way, right? But when you start talking to them about ways to increase their revenues and profits through giving them better marketing tools to generate more sales leads, to generate more e-commerce transactions, now you're a profit center for them, and it's a lot higher to start charging them a lot more money on a monthly basis, and their satisfaction with you goes up. And that's all of my companies. 90% of the revenue is a recurring monthly revenue model, and that's at a very high margin. So after you have the dedicated IPs, you also want to warm up the IPs. So like I said, your IP is your reputation online. So if you get a fresh IP from SendGrid or any of those service providers and start sending your messages out on them, they are going to go in the spam folder, even if you have everything set up correctly, the DKIM, all the stuff we're going to talk about next, because you haven't warmed them up. So warming them up simply means, if you talk to any of these service providers, they say, well, just start sending like 50 messages the first day, 100 messages the second day, slowly increase it by 10%. A better way of warming them up is to actually assign your IPs to different purposes within your organization and within your Odoo. So if you look at the type of messages that come from your ERP system, you should really have a different reputation, so a different IP for each one of those different types of messages. So order details, answers from your public-facing Q&A, customer service, they should not all be going out on the same IP channel, because you might have some marketing messages that are pushing the limits of spam. Maybe it's a list that you built at a trade show and we're uploading. Obviously, you're going to have more complaints, more spam complaints, and a higher risk of being flagged with those. So you don't want them going out on the same IP address with the same reputation as your order confirmation details. And then this is another key element. You can change instead of catch-all and sales, all the default aliases, you can change those to an actual person's name, and that really helps your ability to get through the spam filter. To do this, though, you still need a Odoo community module. I'm hesitant to recommend. There's 3 different ones that we've used for different versions. If you email me, I'll send you back the link to it on the App Store, but I'm pretty sure it's an OCA module. And it allows you now, under marketing, not just to choose the one server to use for outbound messages, but you can assign in the email templates a different outbound IP for each one. So the other thing that you need to do, so yesterday Jean Adam spoke about setting up DNS records for your transactional email outbound server. His presentation covered all this in great detail, but I just want to mention one more step. So when you're doing it from a email delivery service, now you have to configure all of these on it with your domain as well. So your DKIM, you have to go generate that DKIM key from Amazon or whoever you're using to send those messages and add that in your DNS record to give that advice back to the server. The one thing you can do now by using a third-party deliverability tool that you can't do on your normal mail servers is a reverse DNS lookup. So that's a more advanced entry that will also help you get through the spam filters. And basically, this is what it looks like, is you configure these on your email gateway. So again, we're talking about this third party that you're using now, not Odoo. And then the firewall is checking back for reverse DNS to see if you're on blacklists and to see what your reputation score is. The best way to monitor all of this is using a tool called MX Toolbox. I get $20, $30 a month, and it will notify you proactively if you are on any of those lists. So we've only got 5 minutes left, but the amazing part, the amazing conversation that you're going to have with the key decision maker, I assume the marketing manager was probably already involved as a key decision maker along with your SPOC when you're implementing projects in Odoo, but now you have, you're giving them new tools. So every marketing manager that I sit down and speak to, and they can be directors of companies doing 20 million US a year in sales, they can't answer simple metrics that they should know, like what is your customer lifetime value, what are your customer acquisition costs. So now, even though you might not be a marketing expert, you're the person who's armed with this data, and you're talking to a marketing manager, showing them how to access this information that they've always wanted to know, and they don't have access to it on their current platforms. So the number one thing you want to talk about with them is an LTV to CAC ratio, which is a lot different than, you know, Fabian had the slides up and was showing how to see the revenue that was generated from a campaign, and he was using the social app as an example. That is just last attribution modeling, and it's not successful. So a marketing manager is going to see through that, and they're not going to take you seriously. But if you focus on calculating the lifetime value to CAC ratio for them, taking in all those costs, dividing it under the number of customers acquired, and presenting that, then I'm just going to skip through some of these slides here because time is up. But you can get the whole presentation online. But definitely email me if you have any concerns or need help implementing this for your customers. So I'm a consultant. I work with other Odoo partners. We're an Odoo partner, but we have offices in 5 different countries. And I personally work with Odoo partners and end users, consulting them for a few hours, training their team, and getting this implemented for them. Go to the website, johnbuie.com. It was a very quick, rudimentary site that I pushed up just for this presentation, so it's not beautifully designed. And that's where you can get access to the 12,000-word manifesto. And from there, I'm going to be branching it off into making screencasts and videos and more explanatory information using Odoo on how to accomplish lots of these things. But aside from setting up the technical deliverability of the email, did anyone get like the meta email marketing messages that I embedded in the presentation? Aside from doing the technical setup correct, you really have to make sure your content's not going to get spammed for flag filters, spam filters. So you have to do what I said, you have to, or do what I did, you have to adapt your content so it's applicable to the user segment, and put in lots of call to actions and even repeat those call to actions. So that's it for the presentation. Now we have some time for question and answer. Yes?
You said that when you use the service of a third-party email provider, then you can manage your PSF and DMARC and the key?
Yes.
Through the interface, a web interface or something? Because you don't access the operational system.
Yeah, so they provide you with the information, and then you enter that on your DNS record. And so this is another part, like Jean-Adam mentioned, the implementation of this is different on every single person's email configuration because it really depends on where DNS is hosted, what sort of servers you're using. In most cases, the best practice is you want to keep your DNS management at your domain registrar, just because so many different things can change, and so many companies want you to move your DNS registration to them. So you go host with Rackspace or set up New Relic as a monitoring tool. Their first welcome onboarding email says, simple first step, switch your name server to us. But then that means every time you make these changes, you have to go to them. So to answer where to make the changes, it could be a dozen of different places, but first place to look would be your domain registrar, so Network Solutions, GoDaddy, Tucows, something like that, and you'll see those records in there. But where to get the information from is you'd log into like your SendGrid account or Postmarks, Mailgun, and you would click on something that says like white label domain or authenticate domain, and then it's going to give you the DNS entries to put into your DNS management interface on your domain. Any other questions? Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
What about the content? Because the firewall will also analyze the content, when you do spam assessment or anything.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you can Google for simple guidelines. The most common problems that we encounter with Odoo is there's a couple different metrics it looks at, like a image to code ratio and a text to code ratio. And most Odoo emails, it's great that they're so customizable and personalized to the user, but sometimes the code is just a little bit too much. And so we definitely find by going in there and paring down the customized offers in the transactional emails, like abandoned carts are a really hard one to get through spam filters using default Odoo templates. So yeah, take out some code, add in more text. Again, it's all about content. It's content marketing. So whether you're using the new social app that Fabian shared or just traditional email marketing, create great content, and that's what's going to get your users engaged. And that's why I did a 1,200-word manifesto on this topic for you to help sell to your boss or sell to your clients the concept of using this tool for your email marketing. Anything else? Yes.
How you feel about, let's say, the comparison with like MailChimp or other marketing platforms from your experience?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we did for I've owned the company for 12 years. We've been doing email B2B marketing for that long. So up until 4 years ago, we were MailChimp Pro is what we recommended, hands down. And we've used HubSpot and Marketo and Pardot and all these marketing automation tools. And I'll be the first to admit, I always got, whatever I chose most recently was the one I always said, oh, it's the best. It's the greatest thing. Everyone should switch to it. But I honestly mean it with Odoo. But overall, you have to be doing your email marketing from where your data lives. So if you're using a third-party tool like MailChimp, you're constantly synchronizing or exporting and uploading lists. It's not productive at all, takes a long time, and there's so much room for error. And the last thing you want to do is send someone messages when it's not the right time for you to put your brand in front of them. So yeah, whatever tool your data's in, that's going to be your best email marketing tool for you to use. And in terms of comparing the marketing automation features of Odoo to Marketo and Pardot, its biggest competitors in marketing automation, I think in reality, no one's using them. So we go into lots of customers and they say, oh yeah, we have Pardot, we have Marketo. They've been paying for this subscription, $20,000 a year add-on to their Salesforce package for 3 years, and they don't have anything set up in it. Everyone's missing the point, is that, who here has sent out email campaigns before? And there's a huge relief after you do it, right? And then your boss or you need to do the next one in a couple of weeks. What you're doing now, right, we're all talking about change management. We're not talking about software. So the change management for the marketing manager is you're getting away from sending email blasts, and you're setting up what we call evergreen campaigns. So you're saying that send this email to everyone who purchased X product in Y city but did not buy Z accessory in the last 90 days. And then every day, Odoo is going to look for those people, build the list, and send out the email automatically for you. So that's why you should not be using third-party tools. And I'm getting the stop signal. So any other questions, definitely email me here. And I absolutely promise I will get back to every single person who emails me with lots of free advice. And if anyone wants to engage me to do more with them, that's available as well. Thank you very much.